Hi, I'm Patty with StudioR12 Stencils, and today I've got my cowboy boots on, and we are going to paint like a boss, and we're going to do some cowboy painting, and I can't wait to share it with you. All right, guys, I hope that you are ready for some fun today. I have got my sassy pin on, I've got my cowboy boots on, and my vest has fringe. I was out scoping around on the internet, and I came across a blog by Ashley. Her name is Ashley, and she's on I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, Domestic Imperfection. And she had a Dirty Cowboy treatment for her furniture, and she was doing a teal and some things like that. And I just had to go read it because the name just cracked me up. So today we're doing a little Dirty Cowboy treatment on this sign. I wanted to do something that was super rustic, super paint chipped, all that kind of stuff, just to kind of get into the backgrounds. And that's what we're gonna do. So what we have going on here is I am painting on MDF, but I wanted to make this look like it was faux wood. So I created a little bit of wood background so that it would look like it was actually an old pine board. And then I did a layered rustic paint technique that is very interesting. And then at the end, I do the dirty part, and that I'm gonna save that for a little bit later, till the end. But I also am gonna do a really cool trick with alcohol. So let's get started. All right, so I want to point out that I am painting on this black silicone mat, and we've had it a couple of weeks, and it is magic, and we love it. And you can spray clean it, and I'll show you how to do that with just some cleaner and a sponge. I'll show you at the end. But this has made a big difference on our surface. It keeps the workspace clean. We're gonna have some giveaways. So we have 2 sets of the dome brushes. And if you're already in the chat and you already own the brushes, please share with your fellow artists so that they know how great these brushes are, because it's all the difference in the world when you have problems with bleeding under your stencils. That's the #1 complaint about stencils. And you don't have to bleed under if you have the right brushes and the right loading technique. And I'll show you how to do that too. So if you're a beginner, don't worry about this complicated background. It's not complicated, but it's more complex. But I will show you the basics of how to get your stencil on without bleeding when we get going. So, very first thing we're gonna do is start with our MDF. MDF is a pressed fiberboard. It is a lot of glue in there, and it is super duper hard. You can, if you drop it on its corners, you can dent it, but it's really hard to dent unless you drop it from your table onto your floor, then it can cause problems. But in order for it to look like real wood, I'm gonna use just a brown stain, just a nice warm brown stain. And I'm gonna mix it with water, and I need a big old brush. So I'm gonna use this oval glaze brush. These splay out really, really, really big. And they're awesome for doing washes and things like that. We had a situation last week. Oh, our grand prize. I'm supposed to talk about that. The grand prize, like, share, and comment, and then you get entered to win. We're gonna give away one of the tumblers. And today is Turquoise Day. This is turquoise, and teal on our back wall is gonna move more towards the green side of things. So I had to look it up since I kept switching back and forth. So today is Turquoise Day. Anyway, so we're gonna add some water to our stain. It's a water-based stain. You can't add water to an oil-based stain. And then we're just gonna wash it on there. Just to get a tone in the background. Okay, so stencil fans, tell us where you're from. We always want to hear where you're from, and give us a weather report. What's the weather doing where you're at? My weather was howling like banshees when I left my house, so my hair is just like crazy town. I took time and did my hair, and then I went out and it was like all over one way. Okay, we're gonna get that nice and evenly on there. And then share with us what you're painting right now. What's on your painting table? I I shared the background to this a couple weeks ago or a week ago, sometime, I don't know, a month ago, whenever I did it. We work on things really interesting here. We get ideas and we do our research, and then I'm gonna keep painting. We get ideas, we do our research, we get like the prototypes done, we like what we're doing, it's a lot more than you think it's gonna be. So I'm never quite sure what's going on and what I'm doing. All right, I wanna show you a really cool trick with alcohol. This is like not a shot, but this is just rubbing alcohol. We're gonna put that in a cup. Just a little bit will do ya. And I want to just add a little bit. I'm going to use this rake brush. That's the one we use for spattering all the time. This poor guy has. So these are the brushes. These are Taklon fibers. These are the brushes that you don't want to lay in your water. You want to just rinse them out and then let them sit down. Otherwise, they start getting really misformed and stuff like that. For spattering, we're okay, but you want to be aware that that's a thing. Okay, I'm going to get into a little bit of my paint. And we're going to add a lot of water. This is a kind of just a frappuccino-y brown color. It's like milked coffee. Lots of water. This only works if you're wet, if your paint is really wet. You can see somebody taking that literally and going to hop in the shower and then doing this technique. Okay, so we're going to wash on here with this, and then we're going to spatter while it's wet. And it does the coolest little separate. That is so awesome! Can you see it? I hope you can see it. It's amazing. So just wash this on. Just got to kind of work in little layers. And then we go in, use the back of your handle of your brush. So this is going to give us just that little bit of like wood imperfections. I think that it's very cool. And I did like a faux, I can't remember what faux it was, but it was like, it was a reddish color. I'm trying to think of what it was. But, oh my gosh, it just worked so well when you'd like wash over with black and then the red showed through. Oh, amazing. Can't remember what it was, but I'll get it. Okay, so we just go across this whole board. Okay. Keep putting my brush down. And you can do it, the thicker, the more alcohol you have on your piece, on your brush, the bigger your spatters will be, or your, whatever this technique, the relief is. Isn't this like so blow your hippie noodle? Like today we're gonna do some stuff. You're gonna have fun. Let us know what you like about what we're doing. Like what's your favorite parts? And let us know if this is your first time joining us. And if it is, we have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page, which is how you found us. But we also have a YouTube channel that has, a good amount of videos on it now. I think we're approaching, we're going towards 100 right now, pretty fast. I can't keep track because we have a big team of people doing it for us. Well, not a big team, like there's 4. But it's not just me. All right, so now we have to let that dry, and I have to dry it with my blow dryer because I don't have that step done. So, and I hope that you can see that really well. Oh yeah, that's coming as it dries. Woohoo! What that does mean is it's very wet because I used a lot of water, and that means this board's going to stay a little wet for a little bit. That's magic. It looks so good. Almost. Okay, close enough. All right, so I have been painting for 30 years, and I have painted very fine things for 30 years, and the technique that I'm going to do right now is something that I learned how to do using like artist brushes, if you will, artist techniques and things like that. And I know that a lot of you are newer to the art scene or the, painting scene, so I wanted to bring it down to a level where you can use it with the techniques that and the brushes that you already know how to use. So we've all been doing all of that antiquing with our foam brushes and stuff. And remember, the foam brush matters, that you get the poly foam brush, the ones that are other brands. We tore this apart in a previous episode, and the dowel going through this is what makes this do the firm. And I don't have a bad one to show you in this video, but anyway, you want the ones that are super firm. So that technique, and then using our rake brush. So what we're gonna do is we're going to load our rake brush into the stain, and I'm gonna splay it out really hard. I'm really pushing on that, okay? And I'll walk it out, and then it makes the brush do this kind of like bad hair day kind of thing. And then what we're gonna do over here is we're gonna come onto our surface, hopefully I'm still wet enough, and we're just gonna draw it along in a wood grain kind of look. I actually went and stood in front of a piece of pine board to see like how it did the thing, and then after I did so much of this stuff on here, it like covers it up, so you really don't have to be super picky about it. The way that you're gonna get your brush to do what I just did is you have to stand your brush upright, and let me show you how to do it wrong. So if I push, then I paint a line, okay? Where if I splay it out and I stand on my tippy toes, then I get the streaks. And that's how you can make beautiful Santa beards and things like that as well. So when you're getting ready to do Christmas shows or paint for Christmas, then you can totally use this brush to do that. It's a multi-functional brush. It doesn't just spatter, but it does the best spatters ever. Okay, so we're gonna go back in there, and you reload as you need to, and I'm gonna lean on down. I'm gonna give myself kind of a place where my knot will be, and then I'll come down the other side and I'll go around that, and then I'll just kind of follow. And then I did a really funny thing. I like put a knot, then I put a knot, and then I put a knot, and it's like, look what you did. So you want them to be in different places. So maybe we'll put one up here, and maybe we'll put a littler one down here, and then you draw your line and just kind of come around. And you can wiggle a little bit if you want to. You can staccato. The deal is that you're going to put this in places where you're going to put it like a little bit everywhere, and then whatever shows up through this is what's going to show up. So not everything will, so you just need some background. You're like diffusing the background a little bit. Okay, and then this one will come around. You don't want it just stripes, though. Maybe I'll have another. See, keep lining my knots up. Okay. Get that like that. Is this fun? Tell me what you think of this technique. I really do want to know. I think this is probably a little intimidating. It's that tippy toe thing, and that is actually the secret to lining as well. When you use your liner brush, you have to stand on your tippy toe. If you lean back at all, you lose all control. So you have to tippy toe when you're using these kind of fine brushes. Anything you want a thin technique, on your tippy toes. Okay, so I think I have about enough. I've got a little bit heavier stuff, so we'll go in and heavy up some lines. So this way, I'm gonna not flatten out my brush. I'm just gonna kind of come in, and I'm gonna give myself a few. Notice I'm just like randomly doing this. I'm not even thinking about it at all. Make sure that you're liking, sharing, and commenting. And then if you get a chance to pop over onto YouTube and subscribe, and then ring that bell, because that will remind you that where to go for the really cool videos. And then it will also tell Google and YouTube, the search engine, it will tell them that we have cool stuff there, and other artists will be able to find us too. So when you like and share, you're actually helping other artists find stuff, because it's hard to find needle and haystack stuff on the webs. Like this accidental Dirty Cowboy moment here. Okay, and we have been laughing about that ever since I found that. I don't know if I would do that search on Google without doing your safe search. Just FYI. Okay, so we've got that, and now we're gonna switch brushes. We're gonna go into one of these. I wanted to let you know, like sometimes your brush is gonna look like this, but this is just like staining. It's very, very, very soft. And so that's okay. You can just keep using these and keep using these. I don't have a bad one up here. Yeah, there's one. This one did not get pushed down in the water, so it's like hard on the edge. And so what I do, you'll see me here in our studio, just poking and pulling off the bits and chucking them. So I'll just reuse this until it is like useless. And sometimes that's sooner than other times. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the same colors. I'm gonna just pick up dry paint, and I wanna just kind of just add some more streaky to deepen my colors. Make sure you go with whatever your grain is. If you put a round grain, give it round grain around that area. Okay, this one. There we go. Deepen in the color, like in that. And then I like to do a thing when I'm doing fake wood grain and stuff like that. I'll turn my board sideways. Somebody asked in a previous video, one of the questions that I saw is why I don't use the Lazy Susan on some of these boards. And the reason why is when I'm stencil painting, I'm using way more force than when I'm sit painting. There's a real difference when you're doing this kind of technique versus when you are trying to follow, like, you know, Santa's eyes or paint a beautiful little flower outline or a fence post or something like that. So this really takes movement and pulling, and on that Lazy Susan it would be unstable. So that's why. Okay, so now on the edges, we're gonna come in here and we're gonna just make some cracked. And so not the same. So see what I'm doing here? I'm like same, same, same. We don't want that. We want it to be one bigger than the other, one fatter than the other, one a little bit longer than the other. And don't line everything up. Now you could make it look like boards. So I could pretend like this is my board that's put together. And then we'll do that here. We could even draw it all the way across. So now we've faux boarded. Give it some antiquing on its edges. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a faux wood grain. Isn't that fun? And I don't know, what is that, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? So that would be just neat all by itself, doing like any kind of design that you want some rusticness. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out my other board, and on my other board, oh, I gotta do one more thing, I'm gonna spatter. On this board, I did not, I didn't do it like the boards. I might use this one. I think I'm kind of loving this one better. But once I can't. Once I spatter, those spatters take a really long time to dry, like 15 minutes. Even if you're blow drying them, they take a long time. So it's better after you've spattered, put your board aside and just let it do its thing, because you're not going to be able to prevent it. Okay, so we're gonna get into a black with our brown. And we're gonna get into our spatter brush. I wanna rinse the alcohol out of that, if that's the one I had in the rubbing alcohol. I'm gonna mix a little bit of my black into my brown stain. I wanna water it down. The more water you have, the fatter your spatter. Fatter your spatter. I think I need to get into some brown paint. One moment, please. We've got all of our paints in this giant drawer, which is wonderful. So what's happening over here, and that's why I need to get brown paint out, is the stain is too thin and it's not mixing with my black very well. So I'm just getting like a diluted black. It's not doing what I want it to do. So there we go. Now that looks like a nice, rich, dark brown. Pick up some of that water. And then I would end up with something that was washed out over here. So the way this spattering works, you can spatter with a toothbrush. I do not like spattering with a toothbrush. It is very inconsistent. It's a good way to do it. It's a cheap tool if you need one. But what happens is, generally speaking, you draw, I should have a toothbrush here. So you draw your finger, you load it with wet stuff, you draw your finger on your piece and it shoots the spatters from the toothbrush. The problem that you have is it goes in like a line. So, and then if you drop them, they drop really fat on there. So this works way more consistently. And it's a higher, way more controlled spatter. Okay, splay your brush out. This is the White Wonder rake. And then we're gonna go on top. And it's really hard to pick up, and it's not dark enough. Okay, I always test over here. If you don't test over there, you can end up with problems. Also, if your neighbor's Coach purse, if you are able to paint with people, if your neighbor's Coach purse is sitting on the table where you're painting, have her move it because spatters travel everywhere and you end up with spatters in the weirdest places. I'll go to lunch and like people will be like, why are your glasses got paint on them? Okay, now we'll spatter down. I talked it dry. Okay, that's good. So this makes it, this is what I call my snow technique because it just evenly does the thing. The higher up you are, the more snowy you'll be. The closer you are, and I'll flip this board over on the back. The closer you get to your piece, so I just anchor this here, you can keep those spatters all in a really tight circle. So if you're wanting to spatter just one portion of things, you could mask it with like, Post-it notes or whatever, but you can just come on here and and then the higher up I go, so see how much that's wider. And then when I'm airborne, now I have snow everywhere. I hope you can see that detail because I think it's significant that to be able to control spatter, like spatter just completes things, and this is a game changer. So there's another hippie noodle technique. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. Bring Papa over here. Now we're gonna let his spatters dry. So see, on this one, I didn't do as much of the knot holing and the boarding and stuff like that. I could add them now, but I'm gonna just show you that it doesn't matter. When you get into this like faux thing, it's super fun just to have fun with it and to decide what your level of that fun is. If you're somebody that just likes to do like a fake looking like something else, go for the whole thing. And then if you're somebody that just wants that little look of it, then just casually do it. Okay, so remember that our grand prize, like, sharing, and commenting. Thank you for joining us, by the way. I really do appreciate sharing these painting techniques with you guys. This is our grand prize. You can choose your color, and it has our logo, and we'll put your name on the back. So you'll have a StudioR12 tumbler, and we're gonna draw for the, do a lot of this. We're gonna draw for the dome brush sets. Okay, so next I'm gonna throw the palette away because this is a great big giant mess. And now we are going to do the chipped paint part. So we need a big palette knife that I don't see. There's one. Okay, and we're gonna get out, this is like a toned turquoise. It's got a little bit of gray in it, so it's not super bright like my boots. I had fun getting dressed this morning. I had something completely else on, and I was like, wait a minute, if we're gonna do the cowboy, we gotta like go for the turquoise and the boots. Okay, so this, we are going to create this chipped paint look. We take our palette. This is not an offset palette. The offset palette has this little bend in it, and that's really good for mixing paint. But in this case, I don't think they make these in offset. I may be wrong. And then we want to have our paint chipped going once we put our stencil in that way. So we want to go with the grain when we're doing this. I'm going to lay the palette knife on the paint so that I get a nice goopy amount. And then I'm going to go over my corner and I'm just going to lay it down flat and I'm going to skim. We're going to do a bunch of different layers. I'm going to turn mine so I'm kind of got a map. So that helps a lot when you're trying to do something like that, is to have like the example on YouTube or whatever up so you can see what you're trying to do. I went and looked for examples on, you know, Pinterest and stuff like that. So don't be afraid of looking for examples. Okay, so I would be super interested to know, do you guys like longer, more content videos, or do you want just short videos? We're gonna do a thing tomorrow on YouTube where we do 3 of these backgrounds, but in different colors, so that there'll be like a library of colors, and it's gonna be short. So I'm curious about, do you have enough time to watch during, you know, when we do the live, do you come back to them? If you wouldn't mind sharing, that would be awesome. Okay, so we're gonna pull some more colors. Try not to do it everywhere. I had a big chunk on one part, you know, big chunk over here, and then just not so much there. You know, but ultimately it's yours. They look cool having it everywhere too. And then this is not the end, this is the beginning. So it's very hard to keep your fingers out of the paint. But see how that just skims along and it just looks like old. If you have an ugly part that you don't like, this is a really good technique to doctor up the ugly areas. Maybe I don't like how that part right there did. On this board, I didn't alcohol, and I just want to say, I think that is really, hey, my spatters are dry. Never rub a previously spattered board until you check those. But I think that just adds depth to it. So I wouldn't skip the alcohol step. Never skip the alcohol. And what is in your cup right now? It's maybe noon, or maybe you're doing the recast tonight at 9. This has got tea in this right now, but tonight at 9, might be wine. Okay, load a little bit more. Walk it over a little bit. Where else do I want this? So now we get crazy. Now we get out this Frappuccino color. Speaking of coffee in our teacups. Do you guys use the tumblers? Do you use the insulated ones? I dig them so much. They just keep everything hot forever. I've got hot herbal teas that I've grown in my garden, actually, my peppermint and my oregano, which is really good for antiviral and stuff like that. So I do it the hot water in the morning and 1 teaspoon of honey, and then it's hot and wonderful all the way until lunchtime when I've finished it. And then I switch to water. Okay, now we're gonna go into that, and just curious, you know, some of you I know, like I've met you at different shows and things in the past, and then some of you I'm getting to know from your comments and stuff, so I think that it's fun to know a little bit more. Now I'm gonna mix the Frappuccino and that toned blue, and we're just picking them up nice and heavy. You can go back and forth on this until the cows come home. I don't know why the cows come home means anything, but you can do that for as long as you want. As many layers. It'd be cool to have some like a little bit of orange peeking out, you know, like somebody painted this old piece of park bench or something another color. So, and what's really interesting to me is like this has a nice dirty, grungy look. That's where the dirty part comes in. But when you see what we're gonna do at the end, you're gonna be like, wow. Super fun. Okay, so got that going. Do I want some more? I think I'm gonna go pick up just a little bit. Ooh, hi. So when you are unshaken, your paint is a combination of mediums. So when you're unshaken, then what happens is it gets separated, and the way that you fix that is you shake. So shaky, shaky. And then it's a really good idea to flip your paints. When you pull your paints out, pull them all out upside down, and then the whole time they're on your table, just keep them upside down. And then when you put them away upside right, and then they'll pre-shake themselves and pre-settle. And you can do that with cans of paint as long as you make sure it's sealed. This is a very full, not teal, turquoise. A very full turquoise. I default to the word teal. That's just funny. Maybe it's a learning disability of some sort. Okay, I'm gonna go into this turquoise, mix it just a little bit with that cloudy color, and I'm gonna just brighten this puppy up. At the end, I knock him right back down again. So, isn't this fun? Getting your hands dirty and painting like a boss, right? And don't forget to paint till it's pretty. Paint it until it's pretty is the best advice I can give you. If you have something that is ugly, flip it over and paint the back side. You are not dedicated to it. Just because you started it doesn't mean you can't chuck it in the trash and go again. And this technique, honestly, if you did something like this and it was just fugly, you could wait for it to dry and then paint like a cream color over the top of it and sand it, and it would have the best like weathered texture look, and you would love it. So like that's a really neat idea too, to do this underneath your base coats. All right, I a little bit got a path going here, so I'm gonna just fuzz that out just a little bit. Put that in some water. This is gonna take forever to dry, so I've made another one. Very important for you to know if you're getting ready. Our stencils, we have thousands of stencils. We have stencils for about every occasion. We've been at this for, I think we've been stencil manufacturing for 8 years. But we are a very active painting company, and all of our people are even artists and stuff. But we have thousands of stencils, and so if you're getting ready to like make a product, I'm thinking of this as like a gift for somebody. Maybe they've graduated, maybe they have a housewarming. Don't wait until like the hour before to do this technique. You have to do this technique yesterday. So it will not dry in time. You can do it, you can force it with a blow dryer, but it will take a lot of time to do that. So just know that you're gonna need to let this dry, okay? And it's a good idea, even when you get into grunge mode, it's a good idea to go ahead and just do like 5 or 6 of these, like in the colors that you like. And that way you can, because like how cute would this be to have something with like puppies or dogs for like a teenager that you don't know what in the world to buy them, but they love dogs. How cool would it be to do something with like an address or, you know, an inspirational saying for, you know, your nurse friend or, you know, whatever. So there's a lot you can do. Okay, so we are going to go heavy down, and then we are going to stencil. So remember to like, share, and comment. Remember to scooch on over to YouTube. There will be a link down below. And make sure to ring the bell. The bell is just for you. That just gives you like a notification. And you can, I haven't intentionally tried to do it one way or the other, but I literally get lost when I go on YouTube. I can't find the thing I was looking for because I garden and I cook and I paint and I do all those things. So I own a business. I see a lot of videos that I want to know how to get back to them. So I have learned that liking, sharing, I never liked, shared, and comment before like this year or 2020. But then I definitely decided that was the only way. You can go in your history, I guess, and see them that way too, but the like, sharing, and commenting is, or the clicking the bell and subscribing is the way to do it. Sorry. I cannot do 2 things at once, or at least not very well. Okay, so we're gonna tape this down in opposing corners. If you tape it in only, let me show you that because I think it's super important. If you tape your stencil down in one spot, your stencil can shift. Okay, so you don't wanna do that. You want to do your stencil in 2 spots. Press it down nicely, and now you see that you can't budge that, okay? We're gonna go, we're gonna do a drop shadow on here. It was really interesting. This project looked really good. And you know what? I think I'm gonna have to do the dirty part now. So let me do that first. Not till the end. Okay, so our secret is wood ash. So super interesting. There's a company that sells some brown schmutz that is, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like $19 for a jar of schmutz. And I thought, what else can I use? I think you could use dirt as well, but we have a brand new wood stove and we were getting rid of the ash, and I was like, hey honey, can you get me a bucket of ash? So put some gloves on your hands and watch what this does. This is really cool. So these are cool ashes. So I grab some ash, put it on there, And then I'm going to just rub it in to my surface. Ooh, that was a soot, an ember. That's cool, not a hot one, just like a dark one. Ooh, that's cool. I love happy accidents, don't you? Okay, so we dirty this thing up. Now watch this. Knock it off over here. And then we grab our paper towel. And then what it does is it evenly tones the whole thing. So this is kind of bright, and then this looks good and aged. And if you make sure that you do grab those little embers, man, we're just gonna have a little craft project with that. So you can just have some fun. So let me get the rest of it dirty. Ooh. Maybe in the corners. Okay. Let me wipe it off over here so I'm not making a giant mess. And that is how you dirty cowboy. And actually, the Ashley from the blog, she does it completely different. She uses the sponge brushes and stuff like that. I just loved the term. I thought that was just brilliant. Okay, let me get this cleaned up a little bit. So this might be a really good thing to do like over your trash can instead of right in the middle of your paint table. All right, and I'm gonna make sure that my surface is like clean as far as like not a whole bunch of schmutz on there and stuff like that, loose schmutz. And now we'll come back over here and get our stencil on there. Eyeball them for evenness and straightness. Maybe just a little bit. It's hard with these squirrely fonts to know. Like, that's a little bit hard to know if it's straight or not because it like goes up and down. Okay, so we are going to drop shadow. But the way that we drop shadow is we start with the color that we're gonna use that is in its right place. So I don't know if you've noticed or not, I totally was being selective. When the brushes are new and they don't have any paint and junk in them, they're a little bit more movable. When they're a little bit older and stuff, then they're a little bit more dense. I tend to like them when they're dense, but when I need a big movement, I'll switch to a newer one. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I think if you've used the brushes, maybe some of you that in the comments, maybe you can tell what your preference is. Okay, remember to like, share, and comment. We're kind of getting to the end of this. I hope that you're having a good time. What's your favorite trick that we've talked about today? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to, on these words are the only ones I'm gonna drop shadow, so everything else gets painted just with the regular. For our beginners, the way that you do this, you're gonna load your brush the right way. You always have a dry brush. You never wet. If it's wet, it will make a washy mess and it will be terrible. You pick up just a little bit of paint and pull it out. And then you come over here and do like 5 to 10 swirls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd say 5. But you can check it. If it's still really solid, you do a couple more. It seems like a waste of paint, but it is brilliant to do because you end up without a whole lot to push under your stencil. And stenciling is a layers game. So you want to make sure that you're doing soft, easy layers. Number one, they'll dry faster. They won't push under your stencil, so you won't have any bleeding. And they're dry by the time you get back to them. So even if you need to do 2 or 3 coats, it's super easy. And then the brushes. So a lot of stencil brushes are flat. Most stencil brushes are flat. Well, what happens is when you hit a flat thing against a flat surface, you can't get any paint off, so you're forced to push down on it more, and then it splays out and it goes and it shoves that paint right under those edges. And you can't really swirl very well with them. So, and I'll show you the swirling technique next. So, little bit of paint, dry brush, lots of wiping off on your paper towel, and then even swirling or stippling. I prefer swirling, and I'll show you why. Okay, so stippling is, let's go on these letters. I'm gonna hold that down. This is a big open space, so when you're stenciling and you have something like that, you could just pop a tape right there if you wanted it. So I can just be like, I'm gonna keep you down that way so I don't have to get my fingers dirty. If you got manicures and stuff like that, that's a good idea. So stippling is this up and down movement. Now, what's gonna happen with stippling is you can't control the color. So I'm gonna put stippling right here, and it's gonna be so strong that I have to make everything like, hello, I'm white, in order to get it even. So by swirling, I can go on here with a whisper, and then I could go on here with stronger. And so when I show you that, you can see that that's super strong where I stippled, and then I can do it ghosty and dreamy, so think chalkboard look and things like that. This is where you want the control. So when you swirl, you'll have more control. And I hate to say like controlling is like the name of the game, but it kind of is. When you can control your medium can be your paint, it can be your water, it can be your brush, it can be color. So when you can control that, then you get to decide stuff. And that means that you're in charge of your painting. And that means that you're in charge of whether it's pretty or not. So if you want to have prettier things, learn to be in charge of your mediums. Okay, so I'll swirl. And by the time I get all the way over, it's already dry. So it just dries so fast. So, and then ghosting is an interesting thing. Did I just ghost a little bit? I think I just did. Let me ghost intentionally and show you a thing. So I've got this really close to the edge. We've all done it. I do it almost every time I paint. I'm not really a careful person when I'm painting. So we'll go over there, but pretend like my ghosting is bothering me right now. I can go into my click eraser, okay, and this is just I think it's a PVC plastic. Get it into water, and then I can just erase the paint. Now that might eat into my my Dirty Cowboy right there. We'll have to deal with that. But there, that erases the paint. But what's neat about this is you can use this eraser with just like your graphite lines or anything else that you're doing, and it won't take the paint off if it's not wet. So it only works with fresh paint, and it only works when your paint is, I'd say, within 5 to 10 minutes of being fresh. So it can even be dry paint, and it will still work. Okay, so we'll continue on. Getting that on there. So I'm going to show you how to do the humble, just not to have it be so like repetitive. We're planning on having paint along things later in the future, but right now we're just doing like these overview videos. All right, so I'm only going to do a little bit of a couple of letters because now I want to move my stencil. So I want to be able to see my stencil. How wet are you? If I've offloaded my brush, I shouldn't have a wetness problem. So I'm going to shift my stencil down and to the left. And make sure I'm even. So I need to look, oops, I was stretching the stencil. Good job. Don't stretch your stencil. And we're going to line that up. I'm looking at all my letters, so I did a little bit through the middle and on the edges. And now I will go, that goes into water. When you're getting your brushes and you're buying them, I want you to be really cognizant or know that these brushes are an import. A lot of our stuff in the world is imports. And depending on what's going on in the world, after last year, we never will doubt again that anything could happen. But whatever's going on, it can affect these imports. And so every single year that I've carried these brushes, they have gone out of stock for months on end. So if you know you want them, don't wait to get them because you just don't know with imports. As of the filming of right now, they're available. So I'm going to mix black and gray. I don't want it too stark black. So something in between. I got a dark gray and the blackest black. Okay, I'm going to go on to clean. So I've also got a dry paper towel. So those of you that are beginners, the dry paper towel and the folded flat. I once taught a painting seminar, and the lady had a wadded up, and this is the old way of painting, honestly, because you would pinch your brush out when you were using them wet. And that's a really good way to do that. But she had her wadded up thing, and she picked up her paint, and then she pulled all the paint off, and then she was like, I can't make this work. And it was because she was taking all the paint off. So flat paper towel is a really good, and lint-free, really good to know, to do, okay? And I picked up a little bit more. I felt it with I can actually feel the weight change in my hand. I've painted so many times. So now we'll go and we'll just do the whole letter right over that color that I did. So this is how you can do an even drop shadow with your stencil. This blew my hippie noodle. It was like, what? And I mean, I think I only learned this like 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't know you could do this. So it's really fun to do what we do, because every day is like my job is to find things out for you guys to learn how to do, you know, or to share what I've learned from other people. So like, it's always just a fun experience. Okay, go here. So what are you guys binge watching right now? YouTube? We have is it The Crown? I think it's The Crown. Maybe I've got the wrong name. I'm not allowed to use the remote in my house, which sounds really bad, but that's my husband's job, so I just stay away from that one. But yeah, so I don't pay attention to the names of things. But thankfully, we have similar tastes in shows. After 35 years, we better, right? Okay, so we get that all black or dark gray. And you have to make sure you covered up whatever your white was on there evenly. And then I'm going to take that away. And then you can see a little bit of white so that you could actually drop shadow in reverse. So you could do a drop shadow in a light color. I've done that before. And it is actually, I think, because I'm a painter that has painted a long time, I think it's easier to drop shadow with a brush. But if you don't know how to run a brush, it doesn't look good. So it's better to drop shadow using this technique if you don't know how to use a liner brush or a round brush. Adding a hook to my painting table, best thing since sliced bread. That's awesome sauce for the blow dryer. Okay, so now I'm gonna put that right back where my white was. Get my lines on straight. It gets a little confusing looking when you're doing this, so it's a good idea to do another part of your stencil so that you don't get lost, forest and trees kind of situation. So you wanna put it so that the line of the white is lined up, and don't worry about what the black's doing or the gray. Okay, now we go back over the top of that with our cream color. Okay, and then this might be where you would want to stipple. If this is going to be strong colored, then this might be a good stippling place because you'll get that coverage better. I really don't like to stipple. Are you guys a stippler or a swirler? Have you tried swirling yet? Challenge everybody watching this to try swirling, because it's weird. The first time you do it, I'm not even sure when we figured out to do it. I'm not even sure if it's a normal stencil thing. I haven't seen it being done other places when I've watched other videos. I wonder if there's some out there. I don't know. You guys tell me. I haven't paid attention to it. But I can't remember when. I definitely was a stippler, and I can't remember when I thought, my goodness, let's try swirling. Because it doesn't seem like a natural thing. It seems like it would be way worse to do, in my opinion. That's just me. Okay, I'm getting a little bit excited about things and going a little bit fast, and I could feel that my brush was just a little heavy with paint. The minute I put that down, I was like, "Rrr." So if you feel like you're getting too much coverage, get back on that paper towel. Do not, this is not a crutch, this is a tool. So make sure you get back on that paper towel. Otherwise, you're gonna bleed under, then you're gonna have to redo it, and you're gonna be mad, and you're gonna be like, Fixing stencils that have bled under is one of the like cruddiest things to do, but I can do it, but it's not fun. So you could use that eraser trick to fix your stencils. You can just go right along with the This has got a nice sharp little flat edge, so you can even like stick it on your tongue and then go right up next to your edge, and you could erase those away if you wanted to. And then you can also take like this brush right here, one in good condition. I wouldn't do it with this hairy ratty thing right here. But you can take your paint, water it down, and then just kind of come right next to the side, your background color. But if you're on like this textured background, that won't work. So that would be harder. Okay, we'll get this going. Make sure you're like, sharing, and commenting. I'm gonna reveal, and I think we're gonna be about there besides a little sanding. So who's gonna be our lucky winner today? I'm so glad that you joined us. Thank you for joining us with our live answering questions, and thank you for liking and subscribing, and thank you for being here with us. I have fun. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this. So, how cool is that? All evenly done, perfectly wonderful, drop shadow everywhere that your letters are. Love it. Okay, now I'm gonna switch to our main guy. And let us know in the comments if you'd like to do a paint along. Is that something that sounds interesting to you? Let me get some things out of my way and look for a sanding brick. Have like 20 in this drawer. Okay, I always like to finish my piece with sanding because the sanding knocks the ridges of the stenciling off, and that way it doesn't feel stenciled. And this one isn't, no, this one's a little bit heavier. But it also like makes the background and the stencil kind of merge together a little bit. So I start out light. Yeah, that's doing exactly what I want. So this is a rustic piece, right? I want it to look like one of those signs that has been on the side of a drugstore for like 50 years, you know, and that is exactly what I want. That texture, oh, look at it, it's like showing through. It's a good day to paint, man. When your paint behaves exactly how you want it to. Yeah. I am glad I waited for this to do this on camera and didn't have it already done, because I think I would have missed out on this like reveal of this. This is neat. Like I'd sit and paint textured boards just to sand and have it reveal like that. That is magical. Wow. Okay, it's like the perfectest thing. Okay, so I hadn't taken it to the sanding stage, so that is neat to know. Like I'm having a little blow my own noodle time right now. Okay, and I'll just get some of it really feathered out so that the edges aren't so perfect, but not everywhere. Yeah, so that really just sits in the background and it does its thing. If you get too excited with your sanding and you just go at it, oh, I wanted to show you how to clean this thing here. When you get too excited about things and you take it too far, you could retexture, you could put some more stain in it, you could do more dirty, you could re-stencil. So if you've gone too far, just go backwards a step. You know, if you've taken your white too bright, go get another color, re-stencil over it. So it's really neat to be a stencil artist because there is no finished until you are done. So you can paint it till it's pretty and you're the one that decides. Okay, let me show you this mat. We will have links to things that we don't carry on our website down below. They are affiliate links, so I like legally have to tell you that. We sent them to Amazon because that seems like the most common. And it would be terrible to send you to one website that had one thing, another website that had one thing, and then you end up with shipping and all the things, and Amazon's shipping thing works well. All right, so let's get this cleaned off. So this is this silicone mat, and I don't have it super painterly, but what I've got this Zep, and I'll be really honest, I went to Menards, and I literally just picked up 4 cleaners, and this is the one that I used. So I haven't tried anything else. So you just give it your spritz. Cowboy, baby. Here we go, right? I feel like I'm using the gun. Let's, then we get out normally I would let it sit there for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you just wash that off. So I've got my big old thing of paint. It does help if you give it a couple minutes just to sit. But then I wash that all off, and then I dry it off with a paper towel. So I hope that you have learned the heck out of things. I had the most fun. I love the little sanding thing. That's my favorite trick. I hope to see you guys next Tuesday, and I hope that you join us tomorrow on YouTube at noon, and then it'll be up there the rest of the time. But join us and see some more backgrounds. We'll have a lot of fun. Thanks.